The relationship between Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow began at a lavish gala in Los Angeles, where the biggest stars in the entertainment industry gathered. At that time, both were at the peak of their careers but led contrasting lifestyles. Gwyneth, having grown up in an esteemed family, always appeared impeccable, from her appearance to her well-mannered way of living. Meanwhile, Angelina had a turbulent childhood and chose a rebellious path, unbound by societal norms. They met through the introduction of a mutual friend. Their initial conversations made them realize that despite their different backgrounds and perspectives on life, they shared a deep passion for cinema, a concern for social issues, and a desire to contribute something meaningful beyond fame. This connection quickly brought them closer, allowing them to share beautiful moments that fostered a strong bond between them. One summer afternoon, in Gwyneth's lush garden, they sat together, sipping tea and talking endlessly. Childhood memories, travel experiences filled with unforgettable moments, and films that had left a deep impression on their hearts all were recounted with enthusiasm and sparkling eyes. Gwyneth spoke of family road trips, while Angelina shared stories of her tumultuous youth and her search for freedom in quiet city streets. Despite their different upbringings, they felt as if these stories were part of a shared memory, as though they belonged to the same past. On quiet evenings, as the moonlight gently descended, they would walk together in silence, needing no words, just the presence of one another was enough to bring comfort. Lighthearted conversations after dinner, bursts of laughter, as they teased each other about past missteps on the red carpet, all of these moments created a sense of ease and warmth. These were simple yet precious memories, forming an unbreakable bond between two women, a sincere friendship that both Angelina and Gwyneth deeply cherished. Yet there was an unfamiliar feeling creeping into Angelina. Every time they talked, Gwyneth exuded an aura of perfection, a model family, a stable career, a lifestyle admired by many. But Angelina did not believe in absolute perfection. To her, a genuine life had to include flaws, failures, and hidden shadows. At first, she didn't dwell too much on their differences, but over time, the gap between them became more apparent. Their conversations often revolved around how Gwyneth maintained her ideal lifestyle, from a flawless diet and strict parenting methods to meticulous ways of preserving youth. With every word Gwyneth spoke, Angelina couldn't help but wonder whether that life was truly perfect or just a carefully curated facade. One time, during a casual coffee meeting, Gwyneth passionately shared her approach to raising her children. She emphasized controlling every meal, enforcing healthy habits, and keeping them away from anything that could have a negative influence. Angelina listened, but the more she listened, the more suffocated she felt. She loved her children, but she believed that the freedom to explore and experience life was far more important than rigid rules. The differences between them became increasingly clear. Gwyneth never realized that her philosophies on life sometimes felt imposing, and Angelina never voiced that their relationship was gradually becoming a burden. She could only feel with growing certainty that little by little, the distance between them was expanding. The contrast between Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow eventually erupted into a serious argument right in the middle of a charity dinner hosted by Gwyneth. It was a grand event, with flickering candlelight, elegant evening gowns, and an exclusive guest list featuring some of Hollywood's most powerful figures. Everything seemed perfectly orchestrated, but to Angelina it was nothing more than a performance, a way to maintain an image rather than a true act of charity with real purpose. While Gwyneth was busy posing for photos, Angelina quietly observed the scene and felt a distinct disconnect between what was happening and the supposed reason behind the event. When Gwyneth turned around and calmly asked Angelina if she hadn't been out much lately and didn't think it was important to maintain a public image, Angelina looked at her and could no longer contain her disappointment. She replied that she didn't believe charity was about taking photos or showing off, and she asked Gwyneth whether she truly believed in what she was doing. This question took Gwyneth by surprise, as she had never thought that Angelina would doubt her intentions and feel betrayed. Gwyneth incredulously asked if perhaps Angelina thought she didn't care about what she was doing. Angelina coldly replied that perhaps Gwyneth cared more about how the world saw her. After that night, Angelina stopped calling and texting, and Gwyneth never tried to reconnect. The friendship they once had is now broken and irreparable. Gwyneth couldn't understand why things had ended this way. She kept asking herself, what did I do wrong? Why doesn't Angelina want to talk anymore? But as she replayed their conversation in her mind, she realized that maybe Angelina had been right. She had placed too much emphasis on maintaining an image of perfection in front of the public. As for Angelina, she didn't feel any sense of relief. Cutting off this friendship had been a difficult decision, but she knew that if she continued holding on to a relationship that didn't feel genuine, she would be betraying herself. 12 months passed, and their relationship remained unchanged. They no longer appeared together. Mutual friends noted that Angelina now seemed more at ease. Meanwhile, Gwyneth, despite always presenting a strong, flawless image to the public, felt lonely and wounded deep inside. Gwyneth began to reassess her life. Though she still participated in charity work, she no longer found the same fulfillment in it. Every time she stood on stage to give a speech, she felt as if she were hiding a part of the truth. She missed the deep conversations with Angelina, the moments when they would sit down and discuss life. One afternoon, sitting alone in her Malibu mansion, Gwyneth opened an old journal. Flipping through the pages that documented her relationship with Angelina, a particular sentence from Angelina suddenly echoed in her mind. "I don't believe in perfection. It's a trap we create for ourselves." A wave of unease washed over her. Gwyneth began to question whether she was truly living the life she wanted, or if she was merely trying to meet society's expectations. She felt exhausted from constantly masking her real emotions, and for the first time, she knew it was time to face the truth. To overcome her loneliness and the conflicts within her heart, Gwyneth decided to attend the annual charity gala she had always hosted, but this time, she wanted to do something different. Gone were the extravagant displays. She longed for an event that felt truly genuine, a space where people could engage in real conversations beyond mere handshakes and forced smiles. That evening, Angelina arrived. She wasn't the only one who had chosen not to wear an opulent evening gown. Many guests had also let go of the need for perfection to embrace a more authentic gathering. As the lights dimmed, the room shifted into deeper discussions about life's struggles, about the changes they wished to see in the world. Gwyneth hadn't expected Angelina to come, but when she saw her in the crowd, a warm and relieved feeling filled her heart. They stood there, looking at each other for a long time without saying anything. Then Angelina stepped closer and, with a slightly trembling voice, said that they needed to talk. Gwyneth nodded silently, and the two of them moved to a quiet corner, away from the bright lights and loud chatter. The atmosphere between them had changed, no longer tense or confrontational, but filled with deep, unspoken understanding. Gwyneth began to say that she had thought about what she had said, and now realized that she had been too rigid. She expressed that she didn't want to live in a world where only appearances mattered, but she didn't know where to start. Angelina looked into her eyes and, with quiet sincerity, replied that everyone has parts of themselves that they can't control. But it's important to learn to accept yourself for who you are, not for what others expect you to be. They stood in silence, and for the first time in years they felt a true connection from the heart. There was no need for more words. They understood each other more than ever. After that heartfelt conversation, the relationship between Angelina and Gwyneth slowly but steadily began to mend. Gwyneth no longer chased perfection. She started to accept her own flaws and view life differently. Angelina realized that, despite the vast differences between them, those very differences had helped them learn and grow from each other. She didn't need to change herself to fit into society's expectations, but she also didn't want their differences to keep them apart forever. 1 year after their reunion at the charity event, the two women looked back on their relationship with gentle smiles, no longer burdened by resentment or conflict. They continued to meet, sharing stories about life's little joys, and most importantly, they had learned to accept each other. Although their friendship had been restored, like any relationship, it wasn't always easy. Gwyneth, despite her changed perspective and newfound rejection of perfection, still felt a pang of pain when she reflected on the times she had meticulously built an idealized image of herself. She regretted how much time she had spent trying to please others instead of truly living for herself. Angelina, on the other hand, felt at ease with Gwyneth's changes, but she still maintained a certain distance. She knew that Gwyneth was still struggling with the expectations placed on her by her family and society. As much as she didn't want to, Angelina felt she needed more time to fully trust that Gwyneth had truly broken free from the perfect image she had built for so many years. Their relationship was tested once again when a significant event occurred in Gwyneth's life. A minor accident forced her into a long period of rest, and during that time, she began to feel as though her life was unraveling. Despite the support of friends and family, she couldn't shake the lingering sense of uncertainty and the feeling that her life lacked real meaning. Angelina realized that despite the progress they had made in mending their friendship, she still hadn't been able to help Gwyneth fully overcome her anxieties about self-image. One day, during an unexpected visit to Gwyneth's home, the two of them sat together in silence. Finally, Gwyneth opened up. "I've spent my whole life chasing everything I thought was perfect, but now I'm not sure I want to live in that image anymore. I'm afraid that if I keep trying to maintain it, I'll lose myself." Angelina looked at her for a long moment, feeling the torment behind her words. She didn't respond right away. Instead, she gently placed a hand on Gwyneth's shoulder. "You don't need to be perfect. What you truly need is to learn to love yourself, flaws and mistakes included. Life will never be a straight path, but if you keep forcing yourself into an ideal mold, you'll only find yourself feeling more lost." Gwyneth looked into Angelina's eyes, and this time, she no longer felt the pressure to meet the expectations she had placed upon herself. It was a defining moment when she realized that her friendship with Angelina didn't have to be built on perfection, but rather on sincerity, understanding, and mutual acceptance. Gwyneth decided to take time off to rediscover herself. She began engaging in activities she had once neglected, practicing meditation, traveling alone, and learning new skills like cooking and painting. She came to understand that while she couldn't change everything, she could change the way she saw the world and herself. Watching this transformation, Angelina felt increasingly proud of Gwyneth. She saw her friend growing, discovering her true self without being weighed down by external expectations. Inspired by this, Angelina also returned to the social causes she had always been passionate about, joining charitable organizations and supporting humanitarian efforts. But this time, she did it not to prove anything, but simply out of a genuine desire to help and spread kindness. In the end, Angelina and Gwyneth no longer faced major obstacles in their relationship. They had learned to truly understand one another, not just as friends, but as companions on the journey toward freedom and genuine happiness. With steady steps toward truth and authenticity, Angelina and Gwyneth rebuilt a stronger bond, not one based on perfection or fame, but on mutual acceptance and true friendship. Though life would always bring challenges, they both understood that each person has their own journey, and sometimes the most important thing is simply the search for oneself. Angelina could feel a sense of pride knowing that she had helped Gwyneth break free from the limits she had imposed on herself. And Gwyneth, in turn, felt grateful to have a friend like Angelina, someone who had never stopped believing in her, even when she had lost her way. Though life continued to change, one thing remained certain. Their friendship had withstood the test of time not because of perfection, but because of honesty, love, and patience. The relationship between Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow had overcome its early struggles to become a friendship built on sincerity and deep understanding. They both knew that life was not always easy, and sometimes the most important step forward was learning to accept one's own imperfections. Each had their own path to happiness, but most importantly, neither of them needed to rely on a perfect image to please anyone anymore. This story was not just about friendship, it was about finding oneself in a noisy world and learning to live authentically.